So I'm going to, and this live is going to be about what's happening in the election, but most importantly, how people, Muslim Americans, Arab Americans, are being unfairly blamed for the election issue, which I think is disgusting beyond. I don't have words to say that. I don't have words. But what I will say is this. What's happening right now in Gaza, what's happening in Palestine, is a human issue, okay? There are no flags. There's no allegiance to anything. When things like that happen to people, when things like that happen in the Congo, when things of this kind of brutality happen in the Sudan, and no one gives a shit because, they don't see it or they don't want to see it. There are people who are actually right now not even looking into what's happening to the people who are still stuck in the mountains of the Carolinas. No one really is giving a shit as much as they were when it first started, because business as usual, mortgages due, rent is due, and this attitude of putting your head in the sand because it's no longer part of your concern. Also, to actually rely on the alphabet channel like ABC, CBS, Fox News to actually cover some of these things. If you're actually going to wait for the news to be brought to your lap, you're really sadly mistaken. If you want to understand what's happening in the world, you're going to have to look for it. If you tell me that you're a spiritualist and you're not into politics, I'm going to say your politics is impacting your fucking ascension. What these bastards are doing is impacting your ascension because it's making your groceries more money. That means you have to choose between your electric bill, your cell phone bill, your rent, your food, your car if it breaks down, your bus fare, or a book that could actually change your life. A book, a class. You actually have to figure out and budget if you can take a retreat. So yeah, politics are impacting your ascension. And as long as people don't understand that in the spiritual community, and the new agers that are content creators making, a living on their content, telling you, turn your back, just put your head in the sand. Politics is not us. We're just going to kumbaya and just, meditate into the new earth. There are multiple levels of dialogues that we need to have. One is about the ascension, why the 1% is suppressing that, why they're afraid of us winning, how the meek shall inherit the earth. And meanwhile, your day-to-day is actually run by politicians. If you as a woman or you as a man get a woman pregnant because of the laws today, the law of the land, you are fucked, my friend. If something happens to your body, your wife's body, your daughter's body, your sister's body, and they can't perform a particular surgery that could save her life because of whatever is going on with a pregnancy that's gone fucking bad. Okay? That's politicians that made those decisions. So you can be spiritualist all you want, but until you marry spirituality with the 3D world and you go from transcendental understanding of the big picture to 3D boots on the ground, we're not going to make it. Because, acting like a fairy Harry and just, floating through life and just go, no, nothing matters here. Nothing, unless you're in a cave in Tibet, meditating, or you're in Peru doing sacred plant medicine, and none of these things concern you, then I guess none of these things concern you, and you are not part of this Western reality of many of us who are starseeds who have come here to kick down some doors. This is not your life. In fact, most likely you wouldn't be listening to me if you were in that kind of situation. So it's not for you, clearly. This is for us who are soldiers, boots on the ground, who are starseeds who volunteered, who are now living the 99% lifestyle, which is completely controlled by politicians and leaders. And to toggle those two things is a MFer. But I am proud of you. Those of you who are toggling between who you're going to, vote for, and also doing your daily practice of meditation, you are fucking shamans. You are Shaolin masters. But we can't keep listening to these new agers talking about, and by the way, those new agers that are that have millions of followers, that they are making money you can't even fathom. Many of them are making a very, very nice living from the content they create, from the residuals, the money, the products, the merchandise, the partnerships, and all that you can't even wrap your head around. And the reason why you can't wrap your head around it isn't because you're foolish and you're not good at it's because you can't think, because you've been squeezed to the limits. And so what they're trying to push on you is bullshit. It's ignorance. And it comes from the let him eat cake, new age mentality. Okay? And until we kind of understand that, we're going to be fucked. They're literally the problem. Thank you, my love, my beautiful warrior. They have just enough information to be dangerous. Exactly. They're toxic as fuck. So some comments have been filtered to protect the community. People don't like the truth. People really don't like to be called out. People don't like the truth. Why? Because they like to be in their little caves. Again, I keep mentioning, read Plato's parable of the cave. It's no wonder the number is 144,000. It's no fucking wonder. Because really, first of all, it's all we need, number one. Number two, it's that many. That's how few we need to topple the 1%. Number two. Number three, that's the amount of people that can actually have the discipline, the focus, the heartbeat, the love, and the tenacity to topple over the 1%. 144,000 volunteers. The rest want me to jump up and down in my jogging suit. And like I was laughing with a friend of mine who is an incredible spiritual person. And I said, honestly, girl, all you would have to do is sexy psychic, put on a tube top from the collarbone down and jump up and down and just tarot readings. You'd have fucking 100,000 people following you. That's how stupid people are. Now, there are a lot of wonderful people out there, but there are not a lot of them. A lot of them just want to be completely... They want the Roman games, they want the blood sports and the wine and the bread. They're the plebs. And it's sad too, because a lot of them will fight you tooth and nail to awaken this planet. They will fight you with everything they got to keep on the Sunday night football and the illusions of this reality. They will fight you to the very ends, okay? So again, your job isn't to try to wake them up. I've been warning you for a few months now, probably a couple months now, saying do not worry about those who are asleep, including those related to you. You will only deplete your energy. You will get into a place of despair. You will get into a place of depression. And that's the last thing you want to do, to feed the reptilian draconians your energy of despair. Okay? They're having a feast day based on the 3 countries I just mentioned. The draconian energy, the reptilian energy, same thing, are having a feast day. It is a banquet feast, sadly. And so we have to be spiritual, politically aware, and we have to make sure that we keep stripping the negative energy off the ascension train, off the frequency of the ascension. We have to keep purifying this intention. And that means we have to keep purifying ourselves with saging, chakra clearing, cleansing, clearing, which you know how to do. You should know. If not, you can look at my guided meditations for practice ideas. Okay? It's free. And get going. It's all hands on deck. And what they're starting to do is, again, always gender wars. I've said it. Now they're doing the that Kamala Harris. I just saw this. I reposted it. You can check it out. Where they're saying that some chick, some bimbo, is saying that, I won't say the state because that's not the point, that there's a very big influx of Muslim Americans who could make Kamala Harris lose. We want her to lose. We are Chinese. We are Native Americans. We are African Americans. We are white women, white men. We are, should I come up with the whole, we are pink polka dots. We are Pleiadians. We are Orions. We are Arcturians. We don't want her to win. Has nothing to do with being Muslim or Arabic. That kind of divide and conquer tactic is actually sickening. And it's actually quite dangerous. And it has put many who wear a keffiyeh in harm's way, quite literally, quite literally. Earlier this year, there were attacks right here on the East Coast of young men minding their own fucking business, being shot at by a man because they were keffiyehs coming out of someone's, I think it was around Thanksgiving, actually, so it was last year. It was the holidays. We have to stop. We have to stop. Meanwhile, Kamala and her henchmen, her thugs, have passed laws that you should read about right now. Right now. And also, she has made some incredibly blatant statement about Trump. I'm not a supporter of Trump. On the side note, I was until he made his comment about Bibi. You're doing a good job. I did a whole live on that and what he might be thinking. Maybe he's doing The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Tell the enemy you're his friend and then change the story when you get into power. That could be it, because he is a Machiavellian. And Machiavellians know how to smile in your face and stab you in the back. Sometimes you need those kind of leaders, to be honest. So I don't know what his premise was when he said that, but that turned me off. And I'm going to just go with my heart and not worry about Machiavellian tactics in the courts and the palaces of the 1%. My whole thing is I got to look at myself in the mirror. What you do with your vote is your fucking business, unless you're a voter of Kamala, at which point you're on my shit. Please block me now. I don't want you as a follower at all. I hope to God I offend the hell out of you so you don't ever follow me. Because I'm not for you. Because if you can't understand that Geno is wrong, if you can't understand that kids trembling after 1 year of constant drones noises, the sound of frequency and noises of those drones and bombing, that these kids literally are shaking. They can't even stop it. They can't stop shaking. Those kids who have survived can't stop shaking. For many of them, those little babies. I'm seeing that. Kids under 5. And then kids that are 15, 16, whatever, somehow, some way, they're bearing that stuff somewhere in themselves, which will erupt in different ways of trauma. And will they ever get the kind of spiritual, therapeutic healing they need? Probably not. And it's our fault. It's our fault because we actually were so complacent and apathetic for the last 20, 30 years in politics. Don't talk about politics. It's really impolite to talk about religion and politics at the dinner table, at the dinner, at the cocktail party. That here we are standing on the threshold of this chaos debacle. Meanwhile, what's interesting, sadly, about the Americans ever since Hurricane Helene, when they realized that, wait a minute, hang on, we're Americans. You're not going to help us? You're not going to send aid? Wait, hang on. You're going to arrest us if we want to try to airlift people off impassable mountains? See, that's when Americans realize what happens to others happens to us. If a government is standing in evil to other people in other countries with different melanin tones, skin tones, and that matters to you as a definition of you're worthy of saving and you're not, it's going to happen to you. See, that's why what's interesting is that what was happening in America with the Tuskegee syphilis test that was done on perfectly healthy African-American women and men, mostly men, knowingly that they were healthy to spread it. See, when a government's willing to do that to people, eventually it will do it to all its people. And that means all across the planet. It doesn't care. It doesn't value human life. It doesn't think you're important. It doesn't think that you are a flame. And the sad part is, because that's been a reality for 2,000 years minimum, that it has been ingrained in us in our incarnations after incarnations after, that we were replaceable, that we didn't matter, that we didn't bring anything important to the table, that whether we lived or died, it didn't matter. And that philosophy has been brainwashed into us for many incarnations. And so your job is to actually be incredibly fierce, disciplined, and don't stop learning about ancient history by spiritual archaeologists. That's what I'm going to call them. Spiritual archaeologists like Billy Carson, like Zachary Stitchin, like Graham Hancock. Those guys, Freddie Silva. You want to study these guys. You want to hear what they're saying. You want to go on YouTube and listen to them. You want to learn. And then you will be able to become transcendental so you can be aware of the fuckery of the 1% and how politics and politicians have manipulated us. And when they were not politicians, it was the church. And when it was not the church, it was the lords of the land. And on and on and on. You can go all the way up the chain, of history to see who was, controlling our ability or disability, rather, to thrive, to grow, to travel at will. You know what I mean? Wherever we want it to be, to just say, here, I just found a plot of land. Let me build something that's going to keep me and my family safe. Without some building inspectors and this license, that license, the other license, and the next license, and the taxes. And it's a nightmare. And it's an infrastructure that is no longer, it's not kind, it's not generous, It has no empathy. It doesn't give a fuck. If you miss your taxes on a property, you're going to lose your house. If you miss your rent after 3 months, you will lose your dwelling. There is no consciousness in this system. Period. That's why most homeless people prefer to be homeless, because even the dwelling they give with vouchers, HUD, is abominable and quite often dangerous. There's a by design cruelty in the system that supposedly is a welfare system. So any questions or comments? Let me read about your comments. We are at the table. Okay, let me read from the beginning because I love your comments. Let me see. They are complicit in their slumber, listening while doing my 3D laundry, inspiring and important. Thank you, my love. Shaking. Today is the 27th. Listening at work, and this is such an important topic. If you look at the tree of life for reference, yes, X1. Hang on, let me keep. The path 27 is... The path at 27 is now the tower. No. The path at 27 is 9, which is God's master number. Please don't go into... I don't know what numerology you're listening to, but even assholes have great nectar. But 27 is the scepter. The scepter is spiritual knowledge and power. 2 plus 7 is 9. It's God's master number. It is not 11 and it is not 22. I don't know where people got this from. I don't know why they think it's a master number. I really don't. The master number is 9. It is the ultimate master number. And you can actually look at other people who will explain way better than me. And I'm not here to do numerology today at all. But 27 is scepter. And this is when you co-create with the universe what you want. Anytime you have 9 in it, like 18, which is 9, right? 333, which is 9, 27, which is 9. Okay, I've done that. Okay, enough. Let's move on. I hope that makes sense. I like the positive of 27. It may be the most merciful grace to ask for their souls to be taken. Now you come back to us in the money. Hang on, new world. Oh, okay. We are at the table. When will we be starting our own colonizing? It's now. It's all about limitations and controls, just taking it back with sovereign rights. It's now. I absolutely love your passion. Thank you. Well, a lot of people don't love my fashion at all. They don't love it because it is intense, it's fierce, there's a righteous rage to it, and you better be angry, because if you're not angry and you're depressed, righteous rage is better than depression. Why? Because righteous rage, I tell an Anunnaki, I tell a reptilian, I tell a nefarious evil force that wants to attack me, fuck you. And then I do the mantra of destroying their influence on me. Despair, depression, apathy, you're like curled up in a fetal position, giving up. And the reptilians eat it like it's a strawberry milkshake. They love that energy, love it. That's why they're doing what they're doing, using these little people with the mustache. I'm going to call them that over there in the old world, where for some reason they think, I own this property, for 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, so it's mine. Do you know that I live in a house right now, and a person, the logic, it just is insane. And the fact that it's been accepted by the Western world is insane to me. It's like somebody coming here and saying, this house was built in 1900. It's like the original owner knocking on my door and telling me to get the fuck out of his house because he owned it in 1901, or his family owned it in 1900. That's the logic. Meanwhile, we're seeing people being absolutely destroyed. Huge pits dug, them let in. Women and babies separated from their men and boys and young teenage boys separated. What does that sound like to you? Does that sound familiar to you? Didn't you study that in your World War II studies in high school? What's the difference? Is there any difference? And the fact that people who said it would never happen again, that would perpetrate that to another people because, they think that we are not the chosen one, and hence we don't fucking need to be alive, that we don't matter. We are less than dogs. Do you know that's why I've never followed any religion? Because as long as they thought that women were less than dogs or as dogs or like cattle, that includes every fucking religion you can think of. And except, I believe, I never read it in Buddhism. But then again, I never saw a Buddhist monk with a rifle. So there you go. Or a sword. Never. I never saw people going, believe in Buddha or die. That never happened. I never saw that. Did you? Okay. But I'm seeing that right now. And I talked about Billy Carson coming home. You might want to look at his his video that he did recently on his take on what's going on in Palestine. So you understand, the racism is deeply ingrained in certain people. And it's about racism. And it's about this idea that they are better than we are. And don't think they don't. It's in the writings. It's all over the fucking place. Do your research, like I did. And I've been sending some of this information to people I love and admire, who are my colleagues in the spiritual journey. And they are aghast. They are shocked. This is why I don't follow religions. Because I will never be aligned to any religion that puts down any other people for any reason. No, well, I love Yeshua, but did you notice I said Yeshua, not Jesus? Because Jesus is connected to a 3D system that oppressed millions of people and made millions of people suffer who were Muslim, who were Jewish, who were Buddhist, who were spiritual and pagans. I can't align myself with that. Not at all. Oh, well, there's a new interpretation. No. Rewrite the whole fucking book or I'm out. There are books that need to be completely rewritten or else they're garbage. These are harmful books, harmful stories, harmful recipes to destroy children, women, men. And I'm not being very specific. But trust me when I say that anything that is under the guise of a holy book that is harmful and evil and angry is an Anunnaki creation. It has nothing to do with the beauty that God gave us, the Creator. Nothing to do with our innate beauty and the innate power that we have of free will, which is a double-edged sword. And we have so far used this free will to self-annihilate, to self-destroy, to self-sabotage, and for self-loathing. Pretty much all the things that we should have been doing for thousands of years. But then when you look at certain movies, stories, books, you can kind of understand how that would happen. Guilt, shame, I failed you, I should have saved you, I didn't save you, I saved myself, I was afraid. Stories upon stories of stories that always surround incredible trauma of war, geno, and famine. And displacements. And people had to make rough decisions. There's stories about people enslaved in this country. Rough decisions. People who had to decide, fuck this, I don't care, I'm not going to be a slave. And jumped off ships with chains on them. You can imagine what happened next. Rough, tough decisions that would create massive trauma in the root chakra that would be carried like baggage, like heavy stone baggage from one incarnation to another. You better be very politically savvy if you want to be on a spiritual journey, because if you don't even know what your enemy is, then you don't know what to clear and clean. That doesn't mean put your attention on it. It is knowledge is power. Then turn your back to it once you know what you're dealing with. It's like a woman who's been diagnosed with something, right? She knows there's something wrong with her because she's sick and she doesn't feel good. Then she gets diagnosed with the big C, and she knows where it's located. There are two ways she can go. She can go for treatment in the normal, what everyday treatment that people are for or against, whatever you decide, it doesn't matter. Or she can be a woman who says, you know what? I want to holistically heal myself. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to eat. I'm going to fast. I'm going to do things. And I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to give myself 6 months and I'm going to see what happens. Many of them have healed themselves. But first you have to know where it is, what it is, and timelines. And there are people who have actually were told they had 6 months to a year to live, and they 20 years later are still alive because they did the work. So similarly, on the political front, we have to know who are our enemies, what's going on, and then we can go into our own meditative state to dissolve, transmute, destroy what holds us back individually and collectively from the ascension. And that's really what the journey is for all of us, individually and collectively. And when you ask, when are we going to have these communities? Now. Start now. Where are you? Go ahead. Put signs. Put signs. The community starts with talks, meeting for coffee. That's how communities start. First talk. Find out, is this a fit? Are you a fit? I remember having talks about that during COVID in 2022. And I was talking to a woman who was selling her house in Brooklyn. She was like so sick of New York. She was like packing her kids and calling it a day, getting the fuck out of New York, okay? Just so you know. And she wanted to create a community. And so many of us met on a Zoom call, many calls. And many realized it was not going to be a fit for many of us. Why? Well, because she was into hunting, we were not. Many of us were vegetarians, for example. So if you're into hunting and you guys hunt with some responsibility, then a community of hunters, where you all hunt, or there's an agreement. I will sow the seeds and I will harvest. You guys will hunt the protein, the animal, flesh, and then we will kumbaya, share the fruits of our labor. But for me, personally, I need to be in a community, for example, of vegetarians. Vegans and vegetarians, because that's how I roll. So first of all, you got to first meet in roundtable discussions via Zoom, via elbow on tables, breaking bread together, having long conversations, doing little retreats together for the weekend, 24, 48-hour retreats. And eventually you come to a realization, yeah, let's go buy land together. Let's do this. But it starts now. It's not where. You do it. No one's going to knock on your door and go, hey, do you want to do a community? No one's going to do that. No one's going to go from door to door going, do you want to start a community? That's not you. If the question is, where can I get this done? When does it start? It starts with you. That's the answer to the question. And it's not easy. You know what I mean? Let me see here. We know how, okay, hang on. Let me see. We know now, so how do we just take their plane and turn it around on them? Let me see. We know now, so how do we just take their plane and turn it around on them? I absolutely love you. How do we just take their plane and turn it around on them? I absolutely love your. Okay, but the amount of passion you have for humanity is admirable. This year has been so exposing. Why is that? Because it's time for you to wake up and see that you've been. They've been telling us. They've been pissing in our ear and telling us it's raining for fucking centuries. I mean, that's what's happening. And why is it happening now? Because the timing, the planets are aligned for truth. This Ace of Swords is upon us. It's a double-edged sword. So you can go into your ignorance as a human being, or you can go into, I want truth. I was talking to Andromeda Flame this morning, saying it's interesting how people talk about healing, but they don't really want to heal. I'm going to tell you my story. I wanted to heal. I lived in New York. I had a beautiful fucking apartment with my twin. Beautiful furniture, beautiful drafting table. That I sold my shit and was weeping. Why? Because I wanted to heal. What was I going to do? Because 3,000 miles away in California was a shaman coming from another country to do medicine. And the price of that was to sell everything I owned, to travel 3,000 miles by car, to separate from my twin for 3 months, and to meet my shaman, and then to take as many cups of ayahuasca as I needed to take to fucking rip the veils out of my dogma, my brainwashing, and my fears. You got to cannonball into your healing. And that means that you have to look at the truth and go, wow, this is blowing my mind. Like I'm shaking, I'm crying. That's all okay. You don't have to do what I did, but I sure in the hell have been a beacon of light for myself, a lighthouse within my heart to find as many truths, no matter how ugly they are, so I can be freed from the shackles. But ignorance will not free you. Ignorance of what is true. So the planets are aligned right now and so the age of Aquarius is upon us. So the age of Aquarius cannot be sustainable in a land, in a continent, in a planet that actually promotes and advises and supports genocide, war, and famine. It's impossible. It doesn't work. So because of the shakedown of the bullshit, all of the veils that you and I probably didn't see in the 80s and the 90s and the early until 2012, right? We were all asleep. 2008 was a joke compared to the shit that's happening now. Let's be honest. And it's because of what needs to happen. And because there's a definite split happening. Everyone's talking about it. There's a split. But what I don't like is New Agers. This is why I do not like New Age. The term, I don't like it because it's connected to a lot of dogma and bullshit and fear. And the fear is packaged with a little blue bow of kumbaya. Don't get involved in what's happening with other. Just go within, just ignore what's happening. That is toxic ignorance. And that's not going to get you anywhere. That is entitlement. It's spiritual arrogance. It's spiritual cruelty and coldness. And I don't care how you, if that doesn't align with you, and you want to sit in your little, warm, cozy place where only, meditation and mantras are going to help you while the world's exploding. And, there are people outside right now starving, but that's okay because you're going to keep meditating. That alone is not enough. You have to do what Buddha did. Buddha lived in a cozy little palace, Siddhartha. He had everything he needed. He had beauty. He had a beautiful wife. They had tantric sex. They made love like gods and goddesses. Life was good. The best foods, the best everything. And he walked away because of all of it. Left everything behind because he needed to understand our connection with disease, poverty, and death. And he needed to understand why so many people were cycling through these incarnations, going through this kind of pain. And so he had to walk amongst the poor to get self-realized. That's why many of us actually aren't famous and rich, because we also had to be boots on the ground and to see what it was like to live like this day by day so that we could have the empathy and the knowledge and the intelligence to say, yeah, this is what we need to do. If you come from a high place where you've never hustled your cell phone, or you're not streets wise because you've never had bodyguards and you had to take care of your own ass so you wouldn't get fucking attacked or hurt, that streetwise shit on a spiritual level is why you know what is wrong and what to do with it on a spiritual level. Do you understand? That's why we had to do this. We had to incarnate one last time, many of us, in this 3D dimension to actually live it one more time, but with an awakened state, not the amnesia of being foot soldiers, farmers, serfs, and the list is on and on of all the roles we've played. Samurais, geishas, prostitutes, pimps, whatever, however, little boys that died in orphanages, little girls, whatever. And now the reason why it's different now is because we've come fully, I would say many of us are fully realized that we know very little about our truth in our makings as humanoids. We are learning so much shit. It's amazing. And it's coming out at a speed of light because now we're being propelled into 5D. But the 5D has to encompass as many people who are innocent and ignorant as possible. Those who are searching for the answers, that's why you're here. Give them the answers. Those who are fighting you and trying to prove to you and they're snarky and cynical, you don't have time. You don't give a shit. I don't argue with cynical people. I don't have time. Enjoy your cynicism. I see you're very happy with that. You're successful. You're on you're living the life of your dreams. I'm being sarcastic. None of them are. I've never met a cynical person who was happy. And yet I've met people who had absolutely barely nothing and they were so self-realized they were happy. And somehow God, the universe, always brought them what they needed at the 9th hour. Always. And so they trusted that. And they always had what they needed when they needed it. A car, a fridge, a vacuum cleaner, money, groceries, good food, good friends. Money is not the root of all evil. Don't get me wrong. But I've noticed that people who are cynical are not the people I want to live. I don't envy their life at all. I love the people who trust and are so enamored by the magic of the universe that the magic of the universe shows itself every day to them. And that is really who I aspire to be like and who I live towards. So you're not here to try to turn a cynic into a believer. That's not your job. Your job is to talk to a kid that wants to make sense, is continuing. Why should I be here? Why am I here? What is this all about? Why am I psychic? Why do I see auras on people? Why can I telepathically pick up on energies, on people's thoughts? That's who we're trying to save, okay? As we go forward. Okay, so let's see. Yes, I just mentioned that. I have the same logic. The Hawaiian Islands are mine, ours. I want it back and we'll get it back. Do you watch Greg Braden? I think you will also like his frequency. No, I've been doing this for so many decades. It's just okay. But I've watched all of them. And Greg Braden is okay. But I don't find him to be I need passionate divine masculines. I need fire from divine masculines. I need a fire. I need fire in their eyes, fire in their voices, fire in the way they do what they do and say what they say. And I see it in many levels of frequency. Freddie Silver has passion, but his passion is not like Billy Carson. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a cool passion, but there's passion. Greg Braden is fine, and I think he's a frequency match to people who need a more calm. He's like a calm pond, a calm lake, and I don't know what it is. Match to people who need a more calm. He's like a calm pond, a calm lake, and I don't know what it is. I just can't wrap my head around it. But I think he's good for a lot of people. But I need people who like move and are quick in telling me a story. And maybe it's because I have a lot of Gemini in my charts, though I'm a Taurus. Okay, I'm a Taurus, just so you know. And so that means I can be slow sometimes in certain aspects, but I like to move fast because I found that everything that comes to me in a download is fast. And then I make decisions fast. Then I don't regret it. And if it's a mistake, it's like, oh, well, I fucked up. Okay, move on. With Greg, to answer your question, he doesn't evoke, wow. I've never gotten a light bulb moment from him. But I think for some people, he's really good. And I think he has a lot of integrity and he has good eyes. He's got sweet eyes. He's a sweet man. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Let me see. Can you share more? I like Billy. Yes. Can you talk about 5D? 5D is, I've talked about it a lot. 5D is the new earth. 5D is the infrastructure that you currently live under is gone. And there's a new system that is done by not leaders, politicians, and those kinds of ratchet characters, but more like the shamans, the wise ones. We would be guided, not led, guided by the wise ones. And wise ones would be just an organic way of rising. They would rise, they would show themselves, we would see them for what they are, we would all agree that we would want them to guide us. And they would be the wise ones. So it would be a different type of system. And it would be a system that goes back to the ancient ways. The ancient ways also that are being lived out in other planets as we speak, where all the things that you need, you have. And one of the aspects of that is telepathy and telekinesis, and also abundance through manifestation. And it's really important that we realize that the reason why we're not as successful as in manifest. Well, there are many reasons why most people fail in manifesting. Many reasons. But one of the main reasons, the main culprit, is the parasitical energy of the monkey mind. And the monkey mind clashes with the soul at every fucking step. It's like a teenager that constantly is going to argue the point with a wise mother or father. And the soul is the mother-father energy. It is wise, it is ancient, and the ego thinks it knows everything. And also, it's always in a state of fear. And it wants what it wants. It doesn't want change. It doesn't want to grow. It doesn't want anything to change. And we have this. They're telling me to tell you guys, the saddest part about the system right now is that many of us who are here speaking, right? You guys are sharing your thoughts. I'm sharing mine. We are more capable of running country speaking, right? You guys are sharing your thoughts. I'm sharing mine. We are more capable of running countries than the people running countries, because our choices to run countries will be from a place of generosity, empathy, and massive care for the welfare of all. That means there's a lot of shit we wouldn't do, like fracking, like genocide, like famine. These eight trucks that were like a convoy of trucks that went on from last year to this year, being stopped by the local Zios in their little tents, and nothing was done. Nothing was done to take them, to corral them, and to say, you're not stopping these trucks. It's none of your fucking business. It's nothing to do with you. But no, it was allowed by Bibi and his thugs, like Daniel Weiss. And the trucks turned around because they might have had toys. Trucks. Do you know that they dropped food? Do you know that it was toy food? It was toy food that they dropped in November, December of last year. Do you guys forget that? Do you know that the King of Jordan and his daughter dropped aid packages at night in the night sky, said around 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and suddenly they were stopped. They must have gotten phone calls by the 1%, by our president most likely, or Bibi, or all, saying you better not do that. You better not do that, or you will not be safe again. We cannot guarantee your safety of your crew. So they stopped, because they did stop. What is it that compels one group of people to make another group of people suffer to this level? What is it that it's actually considered a mark of excellence to harm a child? I post a lot of things so that you guys can pay attention to it. Why? Because what you see in Gaza happening to the Palestinian is a reflection of what's happening in the Sudan and Congo. You can assume that what you're seeing there is a mirror of what's happening in those two other countries. Why is it not being filmed? Yeah, why is it? Why? Let me ask you this. Why are Africans living on the richest landmass on the fucking planet, with the most incredible natural resources on the fucking planet? Why are they poor? Why are they poor? Why is colonialism been used and World Bank been used to subjugate an entire race of people? Why? Ask yourself why. And why is this okay by the Western world? Why is the Western world okay with that kind of egregious abuse of wealth distribution? Why? Any African should be able to walk into a diamond mine and pull out a diamond. Let me tell you what happens if they try that. They won't survive 12 hours. Why is that? I'll leave it there. I need you to get educated, and I need you to get really real about what is going on in the world, so that you can actually do the work, and so that you have an incredible, fierce, disciplined passion to actually meditate onto the new earth. That's what I do not want you to say, I can't do shit. I do not want you to say, it's out of my hands. That is apathy. It is not out of your hands. It is not impossible for you to change the world. In your living room, in your bedroom, in your fucking car at a red light. You have to work on everything me and Andromeda have been preaching for almost a year. You have to work and do it every day with the discipline of a Shaolin master, of a Buddhist monk or nun. Like Thich Nhat Hanh. Your meditations, walking meditations, prayers, chanting, mantras, pranayama, working on your chakras, visualizing the new earth. As you walk, you should be visualizing that you're walking on your new earth. 5D. That all of these wars are gone. It's over. Everyone is happy, safe, healthy, wealthy, and love is abound. That the elderly are taken care of. That the last veterans are taken care of in love. The last veterans of the planet, because we will never have veterans ever again. The word veteran will be a word in a dictionary that in 100 years they'll look at asking, what is a veteran? What does that mean? What exactly does that mean? That's what you need to do. It's not out of your hands. It's in your hands. You're deciding to be apathetic. It's in your hands, and you have complete control, and you have complete choice of what to do with this energy. And you can either decide to be in absolute despair, or you can decide to become a spiritual shaman. And a shaman, a priest, a high priestess are co-creators with the universe. And we have free will. So use it. Use that free will for good, not just for yourself. Okay? Let me see. My God, the way we treat the elderly is a crime. Grateful she has a ton in her bio. Thank you. But you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, exactly. Thank you, Grateful. So, yeah, you look in my bio and you'll see guided meditations, and then you'll see mantras for abundance, and then you'll see other things. You'll see other hypnotherapy, like if you want to work with me on that, things like that. I have a lot of stuff. Don't worry. And I have a YouTube channel, and because TikTok is probably going to be slammed, unless some miracle happens where it's overturned, lights out by January 2025. Why? Because of this exact conversation we're having. TikTok actually pushed Instagram to allow postings of what was happening in Palestine. It was TikTok that pushed. So because why do you think Instagram is doing it? Do you really think they're doing it using all these really brutal pictures? Do you really think they're doing it because they give a shit? They're doing it because it's upped their monies. They're making money off this. TikTok is basically slamming a lot of us for being pro-Palestinian, by the way. A lot of us have been shut down for a week at a time for talking out. I don't create content at all. You'll see that. But I do lives on the subject damn near almost all the time. Every other live, I would say. Because that type of energy is obstructing the ascension of this planet. The planet Earth, Gaia, Bhumi, Pachamama, Mother Earth, is weeping. Weeping. Meanwhile, the most innocent of innocents are being treated like they're nothing more than rabid dogs. Rabid dogs. That means dangerous dogs. Dogs that must be put down because they're dangerous to the public. These are innocent babies. Innocent. The incubators that were left, right? Do you guys remember? See, the memory. There were 30 babies in incubators in a hospital in Gaza. And the IOF forced the doctors and nurses at pew point, since we have to use baby words. And they were told that the Red Cross would be allowed in to handle those babies. They came back 2 weeks later and all those babies were dead. The Red Cross didn't do a fucking thing. Not one fucking thing. Not a press conference to say they have not allowed us. It's been 24 hours. They've not allowed us in. Not a fucking thing. That's what the IOF did. The most moral army in the world. It's kind of like a boss telling you that we don't micromanage here. You better know you're about to be micromanaged. When people tell you what they don't do, what they are, you can bet that it's the opposite. I did a whole live yesterday, which has been skipping, unfortunately, on my YouTube, which was from TikTok. I don't know what their problem is where they skip and repeat words. It's such a pain in the ass. And I don't have the energy to edit every microsecond. But if you have the patience to listen to the live yesterday, and where I supplicate you to use your energies and why the reptilians are a real force that have been using the 1%, and in particular that part of the world, to create absolute chaos on the entire planet. Don't think it's not affecting us. It's a domino effect. Negative energy has a domino effect. Positive energy has a domino effect. I've done lives with Andromeda Flame on egregores. Look for egregore. 1% egregore on my lives that are pre-recorded. Some of them are clean as a whistle on my YouTube. Follow me on my YouTube. I'm going to start asking a lot of you to start following me on my YouTube to keep track. And I'm going to start figuring out how to do lives on YouTube. Okay? And Spotify. I don't know if you could do lives on Spotify, but pre-recorded stuff. Because at the end of the day, what we have to really realize is that your innate apathy for yourself is actually impacting the rest of the world, believe it or not. Because your innate apathy for yourself precludes you from thinking that you're important, that you have value, that you can bring healing to the planet. And again, I caution you to stop listening to content creators that keep telling you why you're the chosen one. You never want to feed your ego. There are two wolves. There's a beautiful story of feeding the two wolves. There's a black wolf and a white wolf. And the black wolf is a wolf of ego, avarice. It needs to be complimented, petted, given. It's greedy. It's jealous. It always wants. It's always hungry. And there's the white wolf, and it's calm and loving and generous, empathetic. And he's always fulfilled. That is the soul. So make sure you feed the right wolf. Feed the white wolf. And then you will actually see the benefits of that decision over time. Okay? You'll see. Trust me. Well, so one person can actually make the difference. Well, let me put it this way. The little guy in Germany with the mustache made a difference. General Patton made a difference. Yeshua made a difference. Who else? Let me see. Eleanor of Aquitaine made a difference. Joan of Arc made a difference. Elizabeth I made a difference. Joan of Arc had absolutely no money, nothing at all. She was a woman. She was a teenager. She heard voices from God and literally had whole fucking ancient warriors, battalions of men and troops follow a young little girl in the middle of nowhere to push the British out of France. Yes. One person can make a difference. They can make a difference for evil or they can make a difference for good. Yes, one person can make a difference. Einstein made a difference. Van Gogh made a difference with his painting. Louis Pasteur made a difference. Marie Curie made a difference. Should I go on? Because none of them, most of them weren't rich. Don't think money equates power. You're mistaken. Any other names? Do you guys want to list some names of the one person who had absolutely no money that made a difference? Should we go on? Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? So yeah, one person can make a difference. Bibi Netanyahu is making a difference. Biden is making a difference. OAC could have made a difference, but made no difference. And so now she's making a difference in the wrong direction. Jill Stein is making a difference. Marcellus Williams, who was executed, who's an innocent man, made a difference. Malcolm X made a difference. The list goes on. Jimi Hendrix made a difference. Jim Morrison made a difference. I'm scouting I'm looking through my Rolodex of people who were poor, who were singers, artists. Basquiat made a difference as a painter, as a Haitian painter. Florence Nightingale made a difference. Edison made a difference. Nicholas Tesla died broke in a hotel, and when he died, the government kicked his doors in his motel and took all his papers, confiscated. He made a difference, and he wanted to give energy for free. Does that answer your question? There's a list and it goes on. Mozart made a difference. Thank you, grateful. And you're grateful because I'm grateful. Does that make sense? So when you think about who made a difference, you got to ask yourself again, why would you ask such a question? Have you such little regard for your own flame of your soul? Do you not respect that you have traversed like millions of years, probably billions, from planets, dimensions, and construct, and you simply have amnesia? It is no difference than a person who has an IQ of 170, who's an incredible brain surgeon, and then develops Alzheimer's. Are they shit now because they've got Alzheimer's? Can we not look at what they've done in the past, in their life, their whole incarnation, that they've saved people's lives as a brain surgeon? But now they have Alzheimer's. Does that discount all of their successes in their incarnation when they were fully lucid and fully aware? Similarly, we have all unfortunately been the victims of a spiritual Alzheimer's throughout these incarnations. That's what we need to remember. Okay? And once we remember that and honor that, then we don't have time for bullshit and going. So there's a difference between arrogance. There's a lot of content creators who are spiritual, new agers, which that's why I don't use that term anymore. We aspire to tapping into ancient wisdom. And that's what I'm coining, ancient wisdoms. There's nothing new about this shit, nothing. But the new agers are toxic as fuck. Many of them expounding, the kumbaya, or just protect your energy. Just protect your energy. Protect your energy. Dude, aren't you powerful enough? You can drop your body and travel to other dimensions, but you want to protect your energy? Like, really? Really? You're that afraid of energy? Instead of becoming a master of energy and learning how to master it and change it and shift it to your will? I mean, fuck, when Hurricane Helene was barreling down at stage 5, level 5, whatever, and you got weather guys that were crying, crying. And all of us, all over the world, were praying, meditating, manifesting it to go down. And it went down, depending on which report, it went down from 3 and 2. We did that. We fucking did that. Each and every one of us were part of that egregore that took that Hurricane Elena, so that it Hurricane Milton. I'm sorry, it was Hurricane Milton, not Helene. It was Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Kirk in Portugal. It was going to hit Portugal. It did. It was going to hit Italy. I think it was Portugal, Spain, into France. And we manifested and prayed. The problem with arrogance, I'm just going to call them out. The ones who prayed, and you know what I mean by that, the ones who believe in that cycle of, spirituality, the ones who prayed said, we prayed, we did it. Only this method works. I saw these posted again and again and again and again. Only this method worked. But us of the ancient wisdom keepers, us said all of it worked. The prayers worked. The meditation works. The pranayama worked. All of that worked. The manifesting worked. We included everyone. Those who said we prayed and only this worked because we prayed to Jesus and God, not Yeshua, Jesus and God. We're the ones that made it happen. And that kind of arrogance is like a slap. They just slap their own face because they're still not getting the program. They're still off the script. They don't understand real spirituality and the real connection with God. They're still playing with Anunnaki, playing God games in Old Testament books. Just saying. And if that offends people, I really don't care. I really don't care. All right. So thank you for all your love and thank you so much. Your YouTube videos are my go-to every day. I can't thank you enough for your content and your time. You're so sweet, Nika. Thank you. That makes me so happy. Karl Marx. Yeah, there you go. Karl Marx made a difference. You're so sweet. Prayers is designed to remove the power from within and make it external. I agree, but I still believe that they had in other words, I would never denigrate people who pray for the benefit of others. But the fact that they would denigrate our powers to meditate and manifest and our methods of doing it and denigrate our path is they've just slapped their own face. They didn't slap mine. I don't give a shit what they think. But they slapped their own face because I was inclusive and they were exclusive. And until religions are inclusive in a real way, and I don't talk about one religion. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me smart on that. I did a whole thing on Project Bluebeam. Okay. And I just bought the books and I'm going to see if I can read them out loud to you guys, because sometimes I'll pick up some books and I'll read them for you. Yesterday I read on the different aliens that we have. Mostly I kept being drawn to, last thing. Okay. Yes, I remember. Okay. This is the last thing I'm going to leave you with. I mentioned it before, but I need to mention it again. Andromeda and I were talking and I was sharing some nightmares that were reoccurring when I was a child. And one of the reoccurring nightmares, and she had it too, was we would have flying dreams. And my flying dreams were in fields of flowers. It was beautiful. And then I would see, I'm not joking, men in black. I don't mean the movie. I don't mean that bullshit. I mean men in black. And these masculine energies that were dark, nefarious forces would chase me. And I would take off. I would run as fast as I could. And I would just lift off with my arms up like a bird. And I would lift away from them. And they could not chase me in the sky. It was the weirdest thing. And I'm not going to get too much into but it was a recurring nightmare that went on for years. She had the same thing. So here's a wisdom for you. When we are incarnated as powerful volunteer starseeds onto this in particular timeline for the ascension, they must know from our frequency vibration. We must be like shining lights that come into these bodies, right? As babies. And they must know. And so they must start programming us into the level of fear so that we will be hamstrung by fear, corralled by fear, destroyed by fear, where fear is now so well seated that it becomes a new normal, which would dilute our innate power. So if you're being spiritually attacked as a child, if you're being spiritually attacked as an adult, as you come to your awakening, right? Know that you are on the right track because they're not going to bother with someone who's either 3D, toxic, addicted, self-destructive. You're already doing all the work for them. They don't need to fucking fuck with you. You've done everything they need. If anything, you're a portal for other low vibrational nefarious entities to come in, use your body for fun, and then get out when they want. On a side note, and that's a real thing. The aspect of if you're being attacked, if you're like suddenly you got a flat tire at 3 o'clock in the morning, just bullshit like that, but it keeps happening to you week in, week on, weekend, week on. And you're like, what the fuck? I'm doing everything. You're being spiritually attacked. You need to protect yourself through saging, calling on your 4 to 6 archangels, and you will be fine. And you do the mantras that I've taught in my videos. You pick one that will destroy blockages and you use it. I'll start doing videos on some new mantras for you guys that are very simple, that you can just harness and master in like fucking an hour, not even an hour, minutes, and that should help you. But know that you are a volunteer. They saw your light and they started shooting attacked energies towards you to throw you off your path and to maybe ingrain even more amnesia than already was supposed to be set up. You know what I mean? I'm there under attack. So that's what you need to work on, my friend. Okay, hang on, let me see. Hang on. Right, it's all the same thing with different labels. They refuse to see that all these practices have evolved from the ancient knowledge. Have you read the Secret Space Program books? Not these particular books, but I've read, I've been, just so you know a little bit of my background. When I was 14 years old, and I'm actually going to start reading to you the Third Eye by Rampati Lobsang. I think that's the book I'm going to start reading. And I'm going to skip around because really my whole thing is for you guys to get the book, obviously. But when I was 14, 15 years old, I would listen to on my little AM radio in the 70s. I was insomniac for years. I've been insomniac. And then I'll sleep like a baby. And then I'm insomniac. Anyway, and I would listen to Air Force pilots and about Area 51. I studied the, abductions, books on abductions, things of that nature, space programs, the concept of the Germans during World War II. There's all kinds of weird theories. I'm not going to call them conspiracy, just theories that the Germans have gone to the moon, things of that nature. I know that the guy with the mustache during the German third, was very much involved in the occult, almost to the level of toxicity. A lot of the books of all the studies of some of the incredibly macabre and evil and butchered type of studies done for God knows what. All these books and all of these officers, who perform these quote unquote studies of horror were imported here to this country and were treated better than the black GIs that served in World War II. Okay? And so what we need to do is realize what we're dealing with here. Because for this government to fight that, the guy with the mustache and his little SS people running around, and then bringing them in their books and their studies, and basically giving them protection, houses, and so forth, and higher status, and protecting them from the Nuremberg trials that were to come, just so you know, okay? Meanwhile, black GIs were coming back and being treated like they were less than dogs, okay? So we have to kind of start looking at our government and realize that it can become great, but it needs authenticity. It needs to repair the damage it's done from its inceptions. And that means that all men are not created equal. If you write that contract and you have slaves, obviously that's not, or you're hunting down indigenous people like they're nothing but vermin. Okay, you can't put all men are created equal, because all men means all men, not the men you like or the men I like. All men, that includes all men, all races. And until that document is rewritten in parentheses, all races, all sexes, all genders. That's why they're called addendums. They're important. Because it puts notice to everyone else that this will no longer be tolerated, this kind of fucking myopic view. That includes books, holy books. And I say that loosely, in quotation marks. There are holy books right now that should be completely edited down to the very bare bones and rewritten. There are holy books right now that should be completely edited down to the very bare bones and rewritten with aloud like they are. this kind of dogma is actually toxic and dangerous. But anyway, I might tonight, because I have a hypnotherapy today, and I have an Akashic reading tonight actually. And if I'm up, then I could read The Third Eye, which was my favorite book, is one of the books I read at 14. So my point is, I've been interested in planets. I've been interested in other worlds, other planets. I don't know where I came up with the idea that this was normal, but I never could not believe there were other planets. I don't know where I came up with the idea that this was normal, but I never could not believe there were other species and other planets. I guess it was just I just remembered. So I can figure, because it was inherently normal to me. And the idea that it wasn't, that people actually refuted the idea that we were the only people in the whole fucking universe, the only life forms, was insane to me. So at a very young age, I was reading lots of books. I was a crazy reader, and I would read, because of the Gemini energy, I would read 2 to 3 books in a week at one time. I'd go from that book to this book to that book, kind of like surfing channels on the TV, watching 3 movies at once, that kind of shit. Well, I was doing that with books. So I was a voracious reader. And so I've been studying a lot of this stuff. We're listening to people talking about it. And I've been highly influenced by all these amazing souls whose names I wish I could remember, because a lot of them were Air Force pilots, people who worked at Area 51, and they were covertly talking and spilling the tea at shows that were like being aired at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So it's interesting. So thank you for that question. Does having dreams of being chased up a spiral staircase, was that to me, or did I create? I don't know. If it's a reoccurring dream, that would be the answer to that. Okay, if it's a reoccurring dream, then Operation Paperclip, yes, yeah. Regina Meredith did the whole show on Operation Paperclip. Also, by the way, just so you know. So we have to realize that, can you imagine? It's like me going to Genghis Khan and going, I want to understand all your torture techniques. And I understand you have a scribe that's been like documented. Can I have them? Have them for what? Like, why would you want to know this shit? Like, it's insane. You have to ask yourself, what was the premise behind it? And I can't go too much into this here, but when we were in when we were in Afghanistan, a conflict, I'm going to call it a conflict, there were things that were documents coming out of the Bush administration with questions on TURE on children of enemies. And I was like, what the fuck? It's something straight out of the Inquisition. And if you've ever noticed, there's an incredible interview with, I love Mel Gibson about Christopher and Walken. And they talk about ancient torture techniques and how they're going back and forth. And they're like upping it. And finally he said, I started shaking. I was afraid of him. I didn't want to work with him. I wanted this conversation to end. And I think he said my director or my screenwriter or something, he said he was at the table with us and he excused himself. He didn't want to be in that room anymore. And he said the room got cold. And I was like, yeah, I'm out. And I've reposted that interview. Whenever I see it, I repost it. We have to understand that among us are incredibly, incredibly evil. The kind of evil you can't understand. And thank God you can't. Why would you want to understand that? I hear people saying, well, I don't understand. Why would he do that? Why would he harm, 16 women? That's not the question. The question is, did you catch him? That's the question for me. Did you catch him? Yes, good. We're done. Well, why? Why would you want to get into that head, that mind space, that incredible dark place? You don't want to go there. This is why I'm against these movies that you keep making about these serial KILLER. Why are we doing that? What's the fascination with that kind of evil? Believe me, you don't have to go there. You know what I mean? You don't have to go there. You should not go there. Because you do have shadows of that in you already. You have been that already in past lives in the human experience. And maybe even other planets, to be honest. I had a client who was a reptilian. Shocked the shit out of me and him. I was like, whoa. And then I had to ask my guides, wait, hang on. Okay, so why is this an important life? And they told me. And I was able to explain it to him. And I had to go back and explain it to him again, because I could tell him, like, going, what the fuck? What, like he was going through this damn it, I don't want this to be my reality. Tell him, like, going, what the fuck, what, like he was going through this damn it, I don't want this to be my reality. And I had to explain to him how actually incredibly a miracle. And so quickly I'll explain. So he was the kind of reptilian that is buffed. I mentioned it like 3 times in my life, but I want to go ahead and not leave you hanging on that. And he was very powerful, 6'5", 6'4", just exactly like a muscular man, like a beefy muscular man, big broad face, and all of it scaled and with the eyes and that you would see as a reptilian. And he was going to end the life of a planet and its inhabitants, and he was getting a charge. He was getting this, yes, let's do it. And they were all in their own ships about to, and they did it. And when the planet, boom, it was like the sun exploding, and he felt the actual wailing of the planet crying out because it had, and he realized the planet had, it was an entity of its own. And he felt the wailing and the cries of these of the sentient beings, I can't tell you what they were, rushing out of their bodies. And that blast broke open whatever was in his heart chakra. In other words, it must have been like a stone because it broke open like a geode. And suddenly he had empathy. And he felt very ill, at ease in his body. He felt like an illness coming across his body. And for weeks he couldn't handle it. And the next scene I saw that I was shown was him being on his knees, very much like a Japanese samurai. And around him were his own, kind reptilians. And he was performing harikari. And because he could not do one more day with them, with this consciousness at all. He could no longer be a warrior, a serial warrior, if you know what I'm saying. And that is how he came back into his light. And then subsequently after that, he began his first human incarnations. That's how it went down for him. So it's interesting, isn't it? So Akashic readings are pretty fucking amazing. They're amazing. There's magical. You can't make that shit up. I'm a writer. I'm a creative writer. I had a client who I did a hypnotherapy with, and they were second guessing the hypnotherapy. Not with me, by the way. Actually, I just remember it wasn't with me. I just remembered. Yeah, okay. It was, he was telling me, yeah, he was saying, was that real? He was asking me, was that real? It was another client. Because I've had a lot of clients go, is that real? So anyway, this client said, is that real? And I went, well, let me ask you this. Do you write creatively? He goes, yeah. I go, how long does it take you to kind of put together sentences as you're typing or writing by hand? He goes, I don't know. Sometimes it takes a while. I go, how complex was your download on this past life on another planet? He goes, it was fucking complex. And I go, how fast did it come? It just came, boom, boom, boom. He was just, and I went, as a writer that you can have downloads that are fast. Have you ever had a download that fast? He goes, no. I go, do you think the human mind can make shit up that complex, that fast on a dime? He went, no. I go, then what do you think? He said, it was real. I go, yeah, it was real. Because it is too fast. When I do a hypnotherapy session and someone remembers a past life, let me tell you something. That shit's too complex. Ear ringing as I say that to you. Way too complex. They're rattling off stuff. They're pausing to see all the... Because I'll ask them, do a 360, what do you see? And they'll go, boom, I see this, and I see that, and I see this. It's too fast to be made up. No one's that creative. If they were that creative, they'd be writing books and they'd be published. Or self-publishing and making money. No one, and by the way, personally me, I'm not a sci-fi writer. I was telling that to Andromeda today. I go, I'm not a sci-fi writer. In fact, there's a book I'm working on. I've got a couple books in the shelves that I'm like working on here and there. That is definitely sci-fi. And I'm trying to write it, but it's fucking hard. So I'm just going to finish up what I need to finish up. But I can't write sci-fi. You can't make this shit up. It's too complex, too detailed, too involved, too emotional. And it's happening in 3 minutes. It's just too much. I'm sorry. So that's what I will leave you with. Okay. All right. So please go ahead and go on my YouTube channel. Please follow me there. I'm going to start dragging you guys out to that. because I need you to follow me. If you want to continue following me, my content and my guests, I'm going to try to get my sacred divine masculine on this with Andromeda Flame. I'll ask them when they can come and do a live. I need to do a live with these beautiful high priestesses on homelessness and the spiritual impact it has on the homeless population, and also on us as a reverberation and how we can assist. And we're going to go back and talk about the 1%, so that's going to come up. But please be assured that I will never hit you up for a reading, so don't get hustled. If you want a reading, you got to go on tonybarca.com, go to my profile page with the link trees, and you can see all the things that I offer, including my link to my YouTube channel. And please subscribe, because when lights out are on TikTok, unless you're going to use a VPN, you're fucked. Okay, we're no longer going to be able to communicate, to be honest. And many of you will not do the VPN. I already know that. Okay, so let's keep in touch. Sending you much love on your journey. I'll talk to you soon. Please upload this soon. I need to hear the whole thing. I will. I'll do it as soon as it downloads. I will. I promise. I will actually do it today. 23. That was the number. Much love to you all. Take care. Namaste.